If you ever watched Titanic, you probably remember the famous first class dinner where Rose introduces Jack to high society. Most people remember it as a funny conversation, but that's not what makes the scene brilliant. It's one of the clearest demonstrations of frame control ever put on film. Most people watch that scene and think Jack is funny, but that's not why it's brilliant. Rose's mother wasn't making conversation, she was reminding everyone else at the table Jack didn't belong there. It was an elegant insult, a social trap. Most people, when put in that situation, immediately become defensive. They explain themselves. They try to prove they deserve to be there. Or worse, they replay that conversation in their head for the next 2 weeks. But Jack doesn't defend himself. He doesn't try to restore his status. Instead, he smiles, makes the joke even bigger, and suddenly everyone else is laughing with him instead of at him. That tiny moment reveals one of the most powerful social skills you can ever learn. It's called frame control. And once you understand it, you will start seeing it everywhere. Every conversation has an invisible frame. Think of it as the story everyone in the room is silently agreeing to. It answers one simple question: how should we interpret what just happened? Imagine you are giving a presentation. Halfway through, you accidentally spill your coffee. If you immediately panic, "I'm so sorry, that was embarrassing," you have just told everyone this is a disaster. Now the entire room feels awkward, but imagine instead you laugh, grab a tissue, smile and say, "Well, that's one way to wake everybody up." People laugh. The meeting continues. Nothing about the event changed, only the interpretation changed. And whoever controls the interpretation controls the emotional atmosphere of the room. Here's another example. You're hosting a live television show. Thousands of people are watching, and suddenly you stumble over your words. Most people would panic. He simply keeps going. That's frame control. He didn't apologize. He didn't restart. He didn't draw attention to the mistake. He simply kept going. Because the moment you react emotionally, you teach everyone else that something went wrong. But if you remain composed, most people won't even remember the mistake. Confidence is not perfection. Confidence is refusing to panic. That's frame control. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Reality isn't objective, it's negotiated. Every conversation has someone silently deciding how this moment should be interpreted, and most people never realize they are giving that power away. In psychology, people constantly look to others for emotional cues. If someone appears calm and certain, our brains unconsciously assume there's no reason to panic. That's why composure carries so much influence. When someone insults you and you immediately defend yourself, you have accepted their interpretation of the moment. You have agreed there is something to defend. But when you pause, smile, and respond with playful confidence, the frame shifts. The room isn't reacting to the insult anymore. It's reacting to your confidence. The same thing happens when you make a mistake. Most people apologize before anyone has even judged them. They rush to explain themselves. But here's the strange part. People rarely remember the mistake itself. They remember your reaction to it. Stay composed. Continue speaking. Treat the mistake as insignificant, and most people will unconsciously do the same. People do not react to what happened. They react to how you teach them to interpret what happened. That's frame control. This is where most people accidentally give away their power. Someone says, "Wow, you're quiet." Immediately, they start explaining themselves. "No, I'm just tired." "No, I'm actually talkative. I've just had a long day." Notice what happened? The moment you become defensive, you accepted their frame instead of creating your own. Instead, smile. Somebody has to balance out the loud ones. The room laughs. No tension, no insecurity, just confidence. Or someone says, "You actually paid that much for it?" Instead of defending yourself, simply reply, I like buying things that last. That's it, no argument, no justification. You never stepped into their frame, you invited them into yours. Frame control isn't about having clever comebacks, it isn't about winning arguments, and it definitely is not about dominating people. It's about emotional leadership. Think about the calmest person you've ever met. They are rarely the loudest, they are rarely the funniest, and they are almost never trying to prove themselves. Yet somehow people naturally listen when they speak. That's because emotional certainty is contagious. When someone remains steady under pressure, everyone else's emotions begin adjusting around them, not because they're forced to, but because certainty feels safe. The calmest person in the room often becomes the emotional reference point for everyone else. When you stop reacting to every challenge, people stop testing you, not because they're afraid, but because your composure quietly communicates, I don't need your approval to stay confident. The next time someone tries to embarrass you, remember Jack Dawson. He didn't escape that moment because he had the perfect joke. He escaped because he refused to play by someone else's rules. That's the real lesson. Confidence isn't having the perfect response. It's deciding that someone else's opinion doesn't get to control your emotional state, because whoever controls the frame controls the room. If you enjoyed this breakdown, subscribe to your Alibi, where we uncover the hidden psychology behind the movies, conversations, and moments you experience every day. And tell me in the comments, what's one moment in your life where you wish you had controlled the frame instead of letting it control you? Until next time, remember, people don't see reality, they see the frame through which it's presented. Choose yours wisely.